Our meditation today is an adaptation of a meditation by John and Sarah Gibb Millspaw called Be the Blessing You Already Are. I talked with Sarah when we were together at General Assembly, and we also know her parents, Paul and Mary Gibb, who we met at our church, UUCB, back in the 80s. So I invite you to take a comfortable position and rest your feet firmly on the floor. Now take an in-breath and slowly close your eyes. Breathe in, breathe out. This breath we share with all that breathes. Each of us has the power to bless another and to bless the world. Feel the love of the universe flowing through this community into you and out into the universe again. Let the love of all the universe, your love, flow outward to its height, its depth, its broad extent. Breathe in, breathe out. This breath we share with all that breathes. You are more than you know, and more beloved than you know. Take up what power is yours to create safe haven, to make of earth a heaven. Breathe in, breathe out. This breath we share with all that breathes. Give hope to those you encounter. Give hope to those you encounter, that they may know safety from inner and outer harm. Be happy and at peace, healthy and strong, caring and joyful. Breathe in, breathe out. This breath we share with all that breathes. Be the blessing you already are. That is enough. Blessed be. Amen.
Our commitment to connect bravely means that we are called to be glad with those who rejoice and to mourn with those who mourn. Each week, we set aside this time in the service to be visual in ritual with the joys and sorrows that are now shaping our lives. I do have a couple of joys. One of them is that Fox Martin is off to Mesa University in Grand Junction, starting his another part of his life's path. And Rebecca Carneris has finished her second associate degree in philosophy. So we will celebrate with them. Now, for those meeting in person, I invite you to come forward as you are so moved. Silently take a stone and place it into the earth to symbolize your joys and your cares taking their place in a larger whole, mingling with each other, held in the hand of the earth. As the music begins, form a line off to my left as you feel comfortable. For all those blessings and concerns, as well as those that remain silently on our hearts, we hold this compassionate space with love.
Your hands lie open in the long, fresh grass. The finger points look through like rosy blooms. Your eyes smile peace. The pasture gleams and glooms 'neath billowing skies that scatter and amass. west, far as the eye can pass, are golden kingcup fields with silver edge, where the cow parsley skirts the hawthorn hedge. 'Tis visible silence, still as the hourglass. Deep in the sun-searched groves, the dragonfly hangs like a blue thread loosened from the sky. So this winged eye is dropped to us from above. Oh, clasp we to our hearts for deathless star, this close companion inarticulate hour, when twofold silence was the sound. The song of love.
The GA 2022 was multi-platform and multifaceted. Well over 100 events, ranging from the general sessions, to choir practices, to budget discussions, to dances and game nights. From the serious to the joyous. So many choices and hard to pick. One of my choices was a workshop related to climate justice, the power of climate justice. As many of you know, climate change and climate justice come under the seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. Climate justice means finding solutions to the climate crisis that not only reduce emissions or protect the natural world, but do so in a way that creates a fairer, more just, and more equal world in the process. BIPOC and low-income communities are hit hardest by climate disasters, and also are excluded from the jobs, opportunities, and cost savings that come from the growing renewable and green economy. Frontline communities are always tired of being told there's not enough money for the kinds of projects we want to see. Energy retrofits, affordable housing, job training for people left out of the current economy. So what did I learn from this workshop? A solution. The Portland Green Energy Fund, a 1% surcharge on corporations that have at least $1 billion of annual national retail sales, and 500,000 of those sales in the Portland area. This project was approved by voters in November 2018 by about a 2-to-1 margin. But how was this done? Coalition building with allies for over a year, careful planning, and building trust. This fund gets $60 million in new annual revenue for green jobs and healthy homes, needed investment in these frontline communities. These funds are being used for insulation, update to heating and cooling systems in neighborhoods that are hardest hit by climate change. It includes such things as tree planting to offset the urban heat island effect. The path forward has not been without some bumps in the road. This is a never been tried before program that is working with funds approaching 20% of the Portland City budget. The fund's administration reports to the Portland City Council, which then provides needed scrutiny necessary for responsible stewardship and builds a public trust. Last month, the council approved 65 projects representing $120 million of investment.
Many of you know how much my husband Bob and I like to travel. Travel opens your mind to different cultural experiences and deepens your understanding of the world. Well, similarly, attending a Unitarian Universalist Association General Assembly, it broadens your understanding of Unitarian Universalism, and it enriches and it energizes you. So at GA, you're interacting with member congregations. They're large, they're small, they're from cities all over the U.S. and even other parts of the world. And the people you'll meet, well, they hold our 7 principles to heart, but they bring a variety of experiences and ideas that will challenge you and maybe make you a bit uncomfortable. But ultimately, it's going to engage and inspire you. Underpinning the business sessions of the General Assembly is mindfulness. For example, here's one of the cornerstones outlined in the program book. Guided by our principles, all attendees are asked to be mindful of the ways racism, ableism, and oppression impact our community and the larger community. Okay, so what does it do when we went there as delegates? Well, our church is a certified UUA member congregation, and we send delegates to the General Assembly to vote on elected positions and to discuss and vote on bylaw amendments and resolutions and other business. What was noticeably different this year was the expanded role of online participation and online voting and interaction. About half the participants at this 2022 GA participated remotely. In addition to general business procedures, we also vote upon actions of immediate witness. That's called AIW. And AIW is a statement about a significant action, event, or development in the world that necessitates immediate engagement and action among UU member congregations and groups. So 2 examples of AIWs that we voted in for 2022 are Stop the Privatization of Medicare and We Do Not Consent, rejecting legal challenges to abortion. Okay, lastly, some of you may already be aware of ongoing discussions about a proposed 8th principle described in the next slide. Perhaps. That's okay. I can read it to you. So we have the 7 principles here. This is the 8th principle, and it's a little bit longer, but it's an important consideration for us. We, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions. Now, I really don't have time to fully discuss the background of this proposed 8th principle, but you can go to uua.org on their website and find pages of really interesting and helpful background. I just want to summarize with 2 points from the UUA website. Our existing 7 principles imply this 8th principle, but do not explicitly hold us accountable for addressing these oppressions directly, especially at the systemic level. And second, the UU principles were designed to be dynamic, not a fixed creed. It means we want to always continue to be educating ourselves, exploring truth, and raising our consciousness. To conclude, attending GA is not unlike the goals behind the proposed 8th principle. I've had a chance to educate myself, explore truth, and raise my consciousness. I sincerely hope you also can be part of a future UUA General Assembly.
So each year, the one distinguished speaker is invited to GA, and this lecture is called the Ware Lecture, named after the Ware family that made the initial donation to start the series. It has been held every year since 1922, except maybe a couple years around World War II. Yes, some of the speakers from previous years are listed on this slide. Thank you, AV, for getting this working. So there was some impressive list of speakers. Stacey Abrams spoke last year. You know, we've had Martin Luther King Jr., Van Jones, Kurt Vonnegut. So the speaker is very, very good. This year's speaker was Dr. Ibram X. Kendi. Can we go to the next slide? Dr. Kendi is the founding director of the Center for Anti-Racist Research at Boston University. He has authored several books, and he won the National Book Award for his book, How to Be an Anti-Racist. Well, I had a confession to make. So last year, I was seeking enlightenment on racism and the effect in our country. I read several books, and I attended several workshops, but maybe because I'm isolated in some privileged Boulder, I never was able to see the enlightenment that I was looking for. So I just moved on. Climate justice is my thing. It's easy to do in Boulder. Well, the 2022 Ware Lecture changed that for me. This year, the lecture was really not a speech. Rather, it was an interview between Dr. Susan Frederick Gray. She interviewed Dr. Kendi regarding his insights into our faith and how we might guide our congregation's teachings and actions to drive towards a more just society, an equitable society. Unfortunately, the interview was not recorded, so I can remember just sitting there. I was so taken by these two exceptionally brilliant people on stage, but I can't remember exact words that they said to quote them here. But I am reading Dr. Kendi's book. His latest book is called How to Raise an Anti-Racist, and it's written for caregivers, for parents, raising children to be anti-racist. Think you're raising your children, so think your UU song, we are building a new way. So that's what this book is all, we are building a new way. And so some of the things that he's teaching in his book is, what he's saying is diversify, mingle, don't segregate, don't separate, be with each other. The other teaching that in his book is know your culture, then know other people's cultures, and then know to appreciate and embrace other people's cultures. And third teaching is live empathy. To be an anti-racist, extend more empathy to people that are faced with greater injustice, not less. If you extend the same empathy, it's not enough. So our brains are hardwired for empathy. We do it naturally. So empathy is, in his words, empathy is like a hug. So I'm reading I'm enjoying reading his book. Highly recommend you get some of his books. His material is sharp, it's fresh, and it's really real, something you can do and feel. So this lecture became a large part of my Hajj this year.
You all know who Susan Frederick Gray is, right? She's the current president of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. That's 23 syllables. And that association hosts the annual General Assembly of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. That's 9 more syllables, and we're up to 32. Do you ever wonder why we use so many acronyms around here? I got a confession to make. I'm in love with Susan Frederick Gray. Don't gasp. Barb knows about it. She's actually known it for a long time and seems to be okay with it. Our first encounter with Susan was at the 2012 General Assembly, the Justice GA in Phoenix. And that summer, as the lead minister at the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Phoenix, she had become a national voice advocating for immigrant rights and played a critical role in the long-term campaign to end the constitutional violations of Maricopa County's Sheriff Joe Arpaio. I'll get to it. Fun fact, Susan also has a degree in microbiology. But a year later, continuing her advocacy for immigration rights, Susan was the featured speaker at the first Pacific Western Regional Assembly, which was held in San Jose. And this is when the rumors about her possible candidacy for president were just beginning. By General Assembly 2015 in Columbus, Ohio, her candidacy was official. And it was just dumb luck that I happened to be talking with Susan at her booth in the exhibit hall when the first carton of Susan for UUA President t-shirts was delivered. And here it is. That's the first t-shirt that was sold to support Susan's campaign. Well, of course, she was elected to a 6-year term as president the following June in New Orleans, and that's the same GA where Reverend Kelly Dignan was recognized for full fellowship during the service of living tradition. But I'd like to have you listen to Susan in her own words with this short clip from her president's report to this year's General Assembly. It's also closed captioned, so if the sound's not working, you can read along. We're going to try this. We're going to try.
It's definitely impactful.
we'll keep the clip, and someplace we'll show it to you. It's excellent, because every time I hear Susan speak, my spirits are lifted. In my opinion, the Reverend Susan Frederick Gray has served this association ably and well, and through a very difficult period. And I'm only sorry that we're unable to re-elect her for a second term. That's because term limits for our UUA president were changed, also at that assembly in New Orleans. So what used to be 2 4-year terms is now 1 6-year term. So this November, the Presidential Nominating Committee of the UUA will present us with 2 new candidates as her replacement. And we'll vote on that in Pittsburgh next summer. Now, the other thing I need to tell you is that Barb and I were invited to a leadership congregation celebration with food and wine on Friday evening, which was sponsored by the UUA Annual Program Fund. The salutation on the invitation read, "Your congregation was one of the 50 most generous annual program fund honor congregations in the UUA for the prior fiscal year." That means for 2021. Please join us in celebrating your congregation's commitment to our faith at GA 2022. And here's the proof that we were there.
And there's the cow, the ministerial cow.
Yeah, that's not the one that was manufactured in the office, but anyway, you'll notice that she's still wearing her collar because she came directly to that reception from having spoken to the reception or the rally, which was in downtown Portland. And you'll notice that she's also wearing her Faithfully Pro-Choice t-shirt. All of us here at UUCB can be very proud of ourselves and of our community for this achievement. Way to go, gang.
Please join in singing number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom of each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
During the month of August, our Share of the Plate offering will be used to directly support the work of this congregation, our programs, and our ministries. Here in the Earth Room, the usher will now pass the baskets, or you can scan the QR code with your mobile phone. For those of you online, you will find a link in the video description describing how you can contribute. I invite you to give as generously as you are able. We appreciate your generosity. May these gifts be used to enact justice, bringing peace and love to the Boulder community. Thank you.
As we extinguish our chalice, each of us wanted to offer a few closing words. I am looking forward to getting on a plane for Pittsburgh.
Ditto that, Barb. Blessed based on this year's experience, I am hooked on GA. And what a really enriching weekend.
I agree with Sharman and Chaucer. Pilgrimages are important, and the annual GA is one of my pilgrimages.
I love going to the General Assembly where I feel renewed and energized and engaged, and I really hope to see you there.
Well then, it's unanimous, at least up here. We hope that some of the rest of you out there can join us next year in Pittsburgh. Thank you for being here this morning.
Please join in our congregational response. Go your way in peace, wander as you may. Blessed is the path you take. May love guide you on your... I can sing it, but I can't speak it. Please rise. Help me sing this.